At opposite ends of the spectrum in both politics and style, but it was yet another diplomatic coup for President Trump as both talked about stronger relationships and joining forces to promote female entrepreneurship.
I just want to say, Mr. Prime Minister, that I'm focused and you're focused on the important role women play in our economies. We must work to address the barriers faced by women and women entrepreneurs, including access to capital, access to markets, and, very importantly, access to networks.
Joining me now to discuss, Carol Roth, Shelby Holliday, and Adriana Cohn. Adriana, let me ask you first, before we talk about the broader issue with the women at the roundtable, the meeting with Justin Trudeau. I got to tell you, people were a little anxious about this one. We know that there's really very little ideologically there, and also there was anxiety about perhaps something with the border tax. But it felt like it just felt like we were stronger after they both spoke.
Definitely. Our two nations are definitely stronger. The meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau was a huge success and another big win for President Trump. They couldn't have gotten along better, and they agreed on virtually everything. President Trump talked about, just making minor tweaks to NAFTA, not really, rocking the apple cart there. He focused more on, strengthening economic ties. And, Prime Minister Trudeau knows that having economic access to the United States is a huge priority for Canadians, given the fact that 75% of their exports come to the United States. So overall, the meeting couldn't have gone better. Although
they're also, Carol, our biggers, we import more to them, right?
We absolutely do.
And we've only got an $11 billion trade deficit. It doesn't sound, $11 billion. That's a drop in a bucket compared to everyone else.
Yeah, but they are a really important trade partner of ours, so I think that they have to be on the same page. When I look at this meeting, it doesn't seem like there was a whole lot actually said. It seemed like a lot of, hey, we're best friends, we're going to stay best friends. But you know what, Charles, I have no problem with Canada. One word, hockey.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, Shelby. When they shook hands, right, there wasn't that embrace that we saw with Prime Minister Abe from Japan, who obviously struck up a more personal relationship with President Trump when he visited Trump Tower. But he also has a $68 billion trade deficit, so he might have had to put on the charmed offensive a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly right. And we saw Prime Minister Trudeau, he made the effort to come down here. He was very gracious. He said, nobody expects me to come down and tell a president how to run his country. I do think they disagreed. They sort of agreed to disagree on certain things like refugees and immigration ban. But generally, Trudeau's mission was to come down and get Trump on the record saying he is not going to disrupt this $500+ billion trade between the borders. Tweaking it, we're not sure what that means, but it wouldn't be great for the United States either. We import a lot of auto parts, a lot of oil. They're a huge trading partner, and Canada doesn't have the same problems Trump would say Mexico has in terms of cheap labor, in terms of a 20% VAT tax. So overall, it seemed like a pretty friendly meeting, and it was a really encouraging to investors and business people.
I think it was also encouraging was the roundtable with the women entrepreneurs and executives from both sides of the border, Carol. I really love these things when President Trump has these, and he's had it with a variety of businesses. I just feel like every time we come out of one of these, we cover a lot of ground as a nation.
Do you think we cover a lot of ground, Charles? Because this is one area that I always find as a woman and as an entrepreneur to be sort of a sticking point for me. They have this discussion. It's important that we promote women, but what really are they going to do? If we want to promote women in this country, we need business leaders to step up and to be mentors. I don't know that the government is really going to pave the way other than creating a fantastic foundation for more businesses to start, for more businesses to succeed, for access to capital. Right. But I don't know that it's going to be sort of a legislation or a government first kind of initiative.
Although just having the visibility of the roundtable and knowing that the president is there, I think that helps to a degree, Adriana.
It certainly does. That speaks for itself, that the fact that they're even talking about advancing women, female entrepreneurs and business leaders, because they could be talking about dozens of other topics. So the fact that they made that a priority shows how focused the Trump administration is on advancing women. And, Prime Minister Trudeau's credit, I actually like the fact that 50% of his cabinet is women. We need more of that here in the United States.
I was going to say, if Donald Trump wants to be serious about this, put your money where your mouth is. Put more women in your cabinet. cabinet. Put
Well,
them
look
in
what he did with
leadership roles.
Kellyanne Conway, the first woman to lead
That's
a
true.
campaign.
But not just women, but
That's
also
right.
entrepreneurial and small business voices. Certainly, we have Linda McMahon, but they could use more entrepreneurial
Well,
and
what
small
do you
business
think about
voices
what's
at the
happening with Ivanka Trump? It's like it feels like you look at the letter, for instance, that Nordstrom sent out and then a couple of days later. Some may be economic, but there's certainly, it feels like, to me, she's putting on a very brave face. And if you're a woman entrepreneur, she's going to be someone to look up to, I think.
She's absolutely a role model. And one of the things that absolutely kills me from the women who supposedly support other women is now they're holding a woman responsible for something that they don't like about her father. Could you imagine if the tables were flipped and we said, we're going to give you this benefit because of your father or because of your husband? As a woman entrepreneur, you should be able to stand alone. And the whole politics, especially around her and her brand, really should be cast aside.
Well, it's interesting. I talked to a lot of analysts last week, and they said Ivanka walked away from her business on November 4th. She chose to go to the White House. She chose to leave her empire, if you will. So is it Donald Trump who cares about this controversy, or does Ivanka truly care?
Well, but we know
Was it
that
a
some of the
really
slings
booming
and arrows
business in the
are
first
aimed
place?
at her, whether she's leading it or not. Her name is still on it, and we know that represents a sort of a sort of anger. This place.
Yes.
That,
How many women
supersedes-
does she employ? She left it in
Mostly
charge with the
women.
women, and
Yep.
she has all women employees.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, speaking of a woman who stood out, I didn't watch the Grammys, but I saw the dress. Okay. Sing a joy.